Hello everyone and welcome back to Cruel and Unusual Storytime. I am your host Simon Dexter and today we are resuming our read-through of Pacifica's Wish. We're on chapter 4 now, I believe. I could be wrong. We'll find out in a moment, won't we? So things got back into the swing of things last chapter, especially how pointless chapter 2 was, in my personal opinion. But chapter 3 kind of stepped things up again. I'm hoping chapter 4 will continue to do so. Overall, yeah, this isn't a terrible fan fiction. It has its ups and downs. Like chapter 2 wasn't too great, but chapters 1 and 3 are fine. So we'll see if it follows a pattern here or if it's just going to stay good the rest of the time. I'm hoping for option 2. All I know is the pines are back. That means things are about to get interesting. So sit back, relax, and let's enjoy Pacifica's Wish, chapter 4, hopefully. Chapter 4, alright. I was speechless. My mouth quite literally was flapping like a fish. Seeing these two, the ghosts of my past, the reminders of that summer, made me weak at the knees. The room started to spin. Dipper was saying something, but the words were all muffled. I forgot where and even who I was for a minute. Then suddenly I felt a hand on my shoulder. It was the principal, concern etched all over his face. "Are you all right, Pacifica? Do you need to go see the nurse? I can get someone else to show the Pine twins around if you want." "No!" Again, I interrupted the man in charge of our school. If I was anyone other than Pacifica Northwest, I'd probably have been given a stern reprimand by now for unruly behavior. But I was who I was, so he couldn't touch me. Yeah. I can't do the anime things because I look stupid with it, my chubby cheeks. I continued my sentence. "It's fine. Just a little dizzy. Just a little dizzy spell. I skipped breakfast this morning. That was a lie. I always had to have my pancakes with maple syrup. God damn you." I mean that. I was adding to our sentence. I wasn't shaming the sentence yet. "But I got something for the cafeteria when we tour the facilities." "Come on, you two. We have lots of catching up to do." She's still mad. I did have a mind to yell their heads off there and then, but a Northwest must maintain a certain decorum in public places. So without another word, I exited the room, leaving behind a still very concerned-looking principal and the Pines duo who I saw looking at each other in consternation before following my lead. I should have remembered. Mabel loves hugs. As soon as we were a few yards away from the office, I felt a pair of arms wrapped around my back before being forcibly spun around to confront the female brunette. She was now at least a head taller than me. Dipper was even bigger than her. I felt like a hobbit in their presence, not to mention stronger. If her vice-like grip around my torso proved anything. "Oh, Paz!" she cried, right there in the middle of them all. "We missed you so much, we have so much to tell you. You don't know what we've been through. We're so happy to see you." All poured out of the emotional girl, complete with a few snotty sobs. All I could do was struggle like a rat caught in a trap, while Dipper looked sheepishly on at the other students. Oh my god, the other students. What must they be thinking of saying Pacifica Northwest, the queen bee of the school, ruler of all she surveyed, top of the food chain, being manhandled like this by a commoner? I glanced around nervously at my surroundings, or as much as I could, considering the restricted position I found myself in. Oh good, no sign of Chantel, Tiffany, or Chad. Who knows what they'd think if they found out I knew people like this. She's had a rough few years. Someone let her demeanor slide a touch. Shit happens. What can you do? Unwilling to take any further chances, I stamped on her foot, hard. "Alright, Mabel, that's enough. I suppose it's sort of good to see you too, but don't you think you're overdoing it a bit?" Mabel recoiled with a whimper, clutching her crushed toes, and for a minute I felt a pang of regret, before I remembered again how they just left me in the lurch to suffer all those years, and my heart turned to ice again. Dipper immediately came to his sister's aid, standing between us with an annoyed expression on his face. "Pacifica, there was no need for violence. Just happy to see you, that's all. Why'd you have to go and do that?" To be honest, I wasn't really listening to him. The pupils were pouring in out of the classes, and pretty soon everyone would know that Pacifica Northwest hung around these losers, and all my reputation, all my credibility, all my power around the school could be gone in one fell swoop. I did want to talk to them just to find out what the heck was going on, but not here. Then I hit on a plan. "Not now, Dipper." I shouted at the Pines boy. Like Mabel, he seemed shocked by my tone too. I know somewhere we can go and chat. In private. Follow me. I started to walk off. But they don't move an inch. Why are they still standing there? Instead of following my command, they're just staring at me like they've just seen Slender Man in the flesh. Do not reference the Slender Man here. Because that's random. Mabel's still clutching her foot. Oh, come on, I didn't crush it that hard. You did say hard with punctuation, I'm just saying. And Dipper has a strange look in his eyes. Is that pity? Oh, he better not be feeling sorry for me. He doesn't deserve that privilege. More angry than I can say, I realize I have to take control of the situation before the Northwest good name is sullied once and for all. I swiftly grab a hold of both twins and frog marched them away from the curious passers-by around the corner and the place where I had in mind when I mentioned a secret rendezvous. An old storage closet barely used by the school now, full of snacks, papers, and an old mop. I know about it because this is where I collect most of the stuff that's owed to me, whether through blackmail or intimidation. Tee, ain't I a stinker? This reminds me of Bugs Bunny. Anyway, I literally throw the siblings into the small room, turn the tiny light on before stepping in myself and securing the door. Alright, spill, I shouted, even though shouting isn't probably a good idea if you're trying to go for discreet. That's just me, though. You two have a lot of explaining to do, and I want to hear it. The twins picked themselves up off the dirty floor, looking slightly disheveled, more shocked than anything. Mabel was in no mood to talk. She had seemingly lost her original happy demeanor and retreated to her corner, looking at me like she was scared, pathetic. Whatever I did see in her, she made you happy. Shut up, intrusive voice. As for Dipper, he slowly composed himself, taking his cap off to fluff the dust out. Yet he still wore that dumb thing. And scratching the thin veneer of facial hair that had sprouted since our last meeting. I have to admit that looked kind of cute. Stop, think of Chad, keep focused. Eventually he opened his mouth, and to my disappointment it wasn't the story of how he and his sister so selfishly abandoned me. What the hell has happened to you? I wish it said. What's happened to you, Pacifica? You've changed, not in a good way. He shook his head. Should have known this would happen to those parents of yours, isn't it? Turned you into another version. Okay, caps lock is going to be extreme here for a few minutes, and that's going to really scratch at the inside of my brain. So I know you're better than this. You weren't here. Okay, so yeah, I know you're better than this. I'm skipping to it just because it's cliche, tripe. Oh, blah, blah, blah. You've changed. Your parents are better than this. Yeah, you said this in an episode. We don't need to hear it again. You weren't here, I screamed, which made Dipper take a step back, and Mabel huddled in the corner even more. All I got from you before I left was immediately a letter saying you'd call me and you'd be there for me, but you never did and you never were. Tears were rolling down my cheeks, and those walking near the door could probably hear me wailing like a banshee, but I didn't care. I had been waiting years to speak my mind to these two, and nothing was going to stop me now. Oh, the caps lock. Why do you hate me? I swear there's an italics option in fanfiction.net. I'm not entirely sure. I've been told there is, but I'm not sure if they're lying to me. I tried to do things your way. I made friends with everyone in the shack. I started being nice to everyone. I even disobeyed my parents to do my own thing, but nothing worked. Your Uncle Stan told me to get lost one day for no reason. Being a goody-goody didn't help me gain any respect. My parents still kept on punishing me, whatever I did. You know the worst part? For all your, oh, Pacifica, you just turn over a new leaf and be yourself. Nonsense. You're the worst kind of person. A sanctimonious, hypocritical liar. See, I knew those English classes would pay off. I was gonna make that joke, but you beat me to it, so I'm gonna give you points for that one. You said you'd call me, you never did. I tried to call you, you hung up on me. Remember this? Oh, Pacifica, anytime you need anything, just phone us. So much for that. And you have the temerity to lecture me on ethics when you're the biggest fibber and promise breaker I have ever met. You have some nerve. Now, are you going to tell me what was so important that you couldn't contact me or see me for 3 years, or am I going to walk out this door now and never speak to you two again? Make your mind up quickly. I'm meeting some actual friends later to organize my birthday tonight. Whew, that was a mouthful. But when it was all over, I felt strangely elated, like I'd just exorcised some particularly nasty demons. Dipper seemed to be digesting all this new information, weighing it up in his head. His hazel eyes never leaving my azure ones for a minute. Did it ever show the color of their eyes? I thought they were always just black dots. Although those colors do seem fitting for the character, so I'm not really going to question it too much. Finally turning to his sister and using that great unspoken bond twins clearly have, she must have given him the go-ahead to tell all. Have I really only been reading for 9 minutes? You know what? Let's do another chapter, because I don't feel like cutting it short. If I can get the next chapter to come up. So, I'm going to be getting chapter 4 and 5 today, ladies and gents, just because this is barely an episode of this particular story yet. That one was rather short. It did a good job, but still. Anyway, so chapter 5. Well, Pacifica made himself as comfortable as possible in the cramped conditions, while Mabel moved from the corner to sit behind him on a head of A4s. Don't know what that is. I'm assuming it's a cleaning deal. I guess you deserve an explanation for everything. So let's start when we got home from Gravity Falls 3 summers ago. Mother picked us up from the airport, and despite our excitement of being home and telling her about all our adventures we've been on, she remained strangely muted. Flashback. She wrote it out, but I just figured I'd do the effect. And then Dipper rescued me from that giant robot controlled by Gideon, and then it was my turn to save his life with my grappling hook. Mabel had just finished regaling the story of how they saved the shack from the certain destruction at the hands of a psychotic, white-haired 10-year-old, and it was a good timing, too, as the car was just turning into the street where the Pines family lived. Yeah, I'm suddenly getting the gist of why they didn't get the call now. I didn't even think of this. The braced sweater wearer paused for effect, hoping against hope to be greeted with a gasp of amazement, a congratulatory grin, or even a stern admonishment for their foolhardy escapades. What she got was nothing. It had been like this the entire journey. She and Dipper had spouted excitedly about the incredible things they'd seen and done. The least they expected was a skeptical eye, or even a disinterested, "That's nice, dears." I mean, that would have been enough. But the mother hadn't said a word. She just collected them in the vehicle, left them to put their own bags in... Let them put their own bags in the boot? I don't know what that is. If someone knows what they're talking about, put their bags in the boot, please leave it in the comments below. And sat in complete silence in the driver's seat while their children chattered away like monkeys. She looked awful, too, pale-skinned, gone very thin, almost as if she was a zombie. Or at least a fake human controlled by gnomes. Either way. It had crossed Dipper's mind to investigate her later on. You never knew, after all. Remember what the book said, he told himself. Trust no one. In Gravity Falls, though, Dipper. Reel it in, buddy. Reel it in. Puts asleep. Oh my god. Ah, that hurts. Puts me right asleep. Okay. At least that would explain how miserable she seemed, especially after seeing her kids for the first time in months. Short of being a member of the undead or a construction made from tiny little men, which is a bit redundant being tiny and little at the same time, the mystery twins were at a complete loss to explain this pallid imitation of their happy, bubbly mother. I don't recall ever seeing their mother. But I guess, considering Mabel, that would make sense if she was happy and bubbly too. If not, their dad was, anyway. And no explanation was forthcoming from her either. The car eventually came to a halt just outside the front door of Chez Pines, and the siblings gathered their belongings and joined their mother, as she robotically went through the motions of finding the right keys, unlocking the door, stepping through the threshold. Okay, maybe I don't see where this is going, because I'm actually a bit confused. I think I get the gist of what they're going to do, maybe, but this would be different than what I initially guessed, anyway. The twins could only grimace while watching this horror show. While every stilted movement looked like an ordeal for her, the twins could only grimace while watching this horror show. Something was very, very wrong here, and they intended to find out what. Ooh, maybe it's Bill. We'll see. I don't know. It'd be fun. They didn't have long to wait. As soon as they followed their mom into the front room, an even bigger shock lay in store for them. Their father was there, sitting down, staring at the wall, but he was not the man they had kissed and cuddled goodbye. To when goodbye to when they went away for their extended vacation. For a start, he had no hair. The thing was, he was in a wheelchair. Oh, not Bill. Not going to be fun like I thought it was going to be. Definitely bad. Not good. And if anything, he seemed even weaker and tired. Weaker and tired than their mother. More tired would have helped that sentence. Just me, though. Dipper and Mabel's stomachs literally did a belly flop when they saw him in this state. They could only stand transfixed. He slowly navigated his chair around to face his children in a voice that sounded more like a wheeze than his regular, clear, dulcet tones. He said those immortal words that so many other families have heard but never wanted to hear. Kids, we've got something to tell you. And all this, the day before their birthday, some present, and a flashback. I'd already figured out, of course, their father had cancer and a pretty virulent type by the sound of things. A bit real considering the subject matter, but I'll let it slide for now. Pretty virulent type by the sound of things. Apparently he'd got diagnosed with it just before the twins were sent away, which wasn't a coincidence. Read about all this crap about being told to go to Gravity Falls for fresh air and relaxation. The real reason they were sent away was so their dad could undergo the worst of his treatments, so his kids could have a good summer without having to suffer alongside him. How selfless. Admittedly, it is, frankly, but that's beside the point. As soon as Dipper found out about this, it had caused a massive row. A row of what? But whatever. As had already been established with Uncle Stan, without withholding the information for years about his lost twin brother, Stanford, keeping more secret. Okay, something fucked up with my head there. As had already been established with Uncle Stan, withholding the information for years about his lost twin brother Stanford, keep important secrets from him at your own peril. As Mabel was all crying and clingy at the devastating news, Dipper was all anger and resentment. Why hadn't he been told? Who did they think they were? It wasn't their decision to make. Kind of was. Too bad, Dipper. Cry me a river. It was all academic now, of course. Dipper's attitude just hid his grief. And Mabel refused to leave her father's side, even for a second. The fall term started and they were sent back to school despite the terrible news. They still needed an education. Everyone was informed, of course. There was plenty of sympathy, not symphony. That was me, not them. I read it wrong. To go around, even from those who considered the pair to be a bit weird. None of it helped, and as the chemotherapy took its toll and their dad got frailer and frailer, the pair noticed their mother was unable to cope too. After all, the love of her life was fading before her eyes. How could she go about her day-to-day... Bit gassy, sorry about that. Day-to-day routine when she had to watch him cry out in pain and visibly die a little every day, like a reverse Dorian Gray. I've never read Dorian Gray. I'm a bad English person. Dipper eventually shook off his grudge and did the mature thing and became the unofficial man of the house. Mabel helped out as well, on the urging of her brother. She cleaned, he organized, she shopped, he paid the bills. Well, helped pay the bills, I assume, because I'm assuming, being like 14 at the time, he had no money. But he took care of the bill paying, as it were, went on the site, talked to people, whatever. So I think they had to adjust too fast, especially at such a young age. There was very little money coming in. Their mom was off work. It was hard enough for her to get up in the morning, let alone do her job. So the cash available, which wasn't being siphoned off to pay for their father's treatment, was through their mom and dad's sick leave pay. But other family members helped out too, including the two Stans, who sent whatever they could spare. Dipper remembered Stanley's contribution was particularly impressive. The man was no cheapskate when it came to his nearest and dearest. Even Wendy and Seuss had sent a portion of their wages to assist the ailing family. Wendy's mother had been a victim of this terrible illness, so she knew exactly what the twins were going through. I'm not sure if that's canon. I really doubt it is, but it still kind of adds a nice touch, seeing as you never see her mother anyway. But it still wasn't enough. As fall turned to winter and the bills started to pile up, the twins found themselves having to raid their own savings to cash put aside for their future college funds. It was a shame, but unnecessary sacrifice. As for Christmas, who cares? Keeping their family alive and together was the most important thing, more important than Christmas, god damn you. Alas, the only thing they were achieving was prolonging the inevitable. Mr. Pines died soon into the new year, surrounded by those he loved in his hospital bed. He'd fought a good fight and outlasted all the doctor's predictions, but there comes a time when the human body just cannot take any more and shuts down. With the death of their father, which the twins had been anticipating for a long time, came a new chapter for them As responsible as they'd proven to be in the event of their dad's death and their mother's near meltdown, there's no way things could carry on as they were. For the next few years, while their mother was being treated for severe depression at a secure facility, they were juggled around from family member to family member, never staying in one place for long. Why didn't they just go to Stan first, if that's where they sent them in the first place for the summer deal? I don't know. That seems a bit nonsensical to me. Just because why wouldn't Stan take them in again? Get back here, you. The place where they truly wanted to live was obviously Gravity Falls, but after hearing all the shenanigans that had gone on there, including the various life and death situations they'd gotten involved in, it is no great surprise the judge refused to leave for Uncle Stan to become their new caregiver. How goddamn you due process. So instead they were passed from state to state like a hot potato, and it was in the midst of this upheaval that I tried to call them. Dipper was understandably reticent. They use some words I honestly don't know, and I'm actually impressed by that, because I know a lot of words. If I know the words, I've obviously never seen them written out before, like I've heard them. But, to explain anything on the phone, being still fresh from the loss of his parent, and I'd probably be frustrated with the whole where are we going to live situation. I guess I can sort of get his reaction now. As for Stanley kicking me out of the Mystery Shack that day 2 summers ago, that was during a particularly low period for him. His latest application to take his niece and nephew had been refused, even though his lawyer had insisted it was 100% guaranteed to succeed. That lying bastard. This guy was a good con artist as his client. Maybe it was something to do with Stanley answering the door and just his foul boxer shorts during the home visit to see if it was a suitable environment to raise the kids in. God damn it. That's something he would do, though. It was Stanford causing a loud explosion down in his lab with the emerging coughing covering up with black smoke, which helped make the authorities' mind up. Whatever, Stanley was as low as ebb. Each Stan was refusing to communicate with the other one, both blaming one another, in a reminder of their old rivalry. For their failure to adopt the children in no mood for work, he had sent Wendy and Seuss home and had shut up shop for the day. The moment I arrived, I couldn't have timed it any worse than if I had tried. It was all going to fit together now, not contacting me. All starting to fit together now, not contacting me. The refusal to take my calls. Stan's mood. They weren't purposely avoiding me because they hated me or I wasn't important to them. They were trying to cope with a major family trauma. And all this time I thought, hold on, why didn't you come to me for help? I asked Dipper as he neared the end of his tale. I could have paid for your dad's treatment 100 times over, and then I would never resume some of the worst, and if you'd still be friends, go away, tears, I swear to God. Dipper held his sister's hand and stared me straight in the eye. Pacifica, can you really see your father wanting to aid the likes of us? Especially after what he thinks I did to ruin his party, and even if you did just use the money from your own pocket to give to us, we were too frightened. Mabel jumped in at this point. Pat, we've seen the way he treated you. You know yourself if he caught you helping us in any way, and your punishment would have been awful. It's because we care about you so much. We didn't want to put you in danger by accepting your money. It's also why we left strict instructions with our uncles and everyone else at the shack not to tell you. Dipper finished the sentence, looking down at the ground guiltily. The rim of his cap covering his eyes. I was about to protest. I was going to scream at him. You're wrong. I could have done it. I'm my own person. They can't do anything to me. This, of course, was a total lie. And I knew it. But what had I become based on my own assumptions? That damn voice in my head. Kill it with fire. Grasping for a distraction, I asked, But now, I mean, you're back in Gravity Falls. You're going to school. How'd that happen? And for the first time since I saw him again, Dipper smiled. I'd almost forgot what that looked like. It was nice. Stop it. I kind of like the little aside. It's amusing when it's in first person, sometimes. And when done for a setting like Gravity Falls, I feel it does better. Because I know I've complained about the parenthesis thing before. Like in My Immortal, for instance, where he does it really bad. Of course, in those are all authors, no interruptions. This is the character thinking off to the side, which works. His eyes sparkled as he told me, well, we're at an age now where we're nearly young adults, so after the millionth try, we were finally able to convince the courts we could move down here, regardless of the risks. We live at the Mystery Shack full-time now, and Stanley is our official guardian. Of course, we also have quite a few friends here already, which makes it easier, including you, or... At least we thought, Mabel piped up. Her brown eyes crystallized with tears. Oh, Paz, what have you done to yourself? I couldn't look in those eyes. And that is long enough, I'm afraid. So we're going to have to resume next time. You got a double whammy today. Lucky you. So we'll resume next time. I'm actually finished recording for today, so I don't want to be recording again. I'm hoping I've already recorded more after I recorded this, but we'll see. Until then, I hope you enjoyed. I will catch you all next time. You all have a wonderful day.